Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello and welcome. There we go. Are we there?
Oh,
hello and welcome. Tom Sokolwski's with us, and he's, you haven't been here in so long. It's been almost a month.
I've been shunned off.
Nah, we've all been.
I know.
Not shunned off. You're shunted off.
Well, I don't know if that's
and you're
even right.
shunned. I mean, there's
I'm both.
Shunned
and shunted. It sounds like Bach translated
Whatever.
from the German.
Here we are. Tom Sokolwski, for those of you who for some reason wouldn't know, is the former, here I always, executive director?
Director. But no, why don't you just say, call me, let's see, what can I call myself? Oh, the great Yiddish expression, Kochlöffel, which means pot stirrer.
But that's not what you were at the war.
No, that's what I am now, I
you
guess.
You could be a Kochlöffel.
Leffel. L-E-F-F-E-L.
It's funny, you know more Yiddish than me.
Or I could also be, in the Greek, agonistes, a constant struggler, combating against evil.
Okay, it is what the quality of you that drew me to you.
Oh, thank you.
Because you are a pot stirrer. But he was the head of
or scold, as you like to be called. Right. The scold and the pot stirrer.
The head of the Warhol. I'll get this out yet. The Warhol Museum.
Warhol Museum.
For like
15 years for most of its life.
Longer than anybody. He's the one who put it on.
I was longer at the Warhol Museum than the Jews were in the desert.
That is not true.
That's not true. It felt like it sometimes.
I bet it did. Well, speaking of ancient peoples.
Oh, yes, I'm sure I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and ancient art. That's great that we can bring these two things together. So here's what always, man, I speak in general, man and women, humanity is so full of itself that here's my reaction. Whenever we discover something, we say, and this is the first art that humans ever created. Just because
why shouldn't we do that?
Because it's the first that we
Well, yes, sure, of course. But that's about...
I don't think that is...
No, but that's about discovery. That's discovery. I mean, like, the first time
discovered.
Marie Curie...
yeah, but you can't, then they go off. Okay, so...
Well, no, you say, as scientists or historians would say, as of this moment, 2014...
This is the oldest
known. This is the oldest known. What we're talking about, there was a discovery in an island off of Indonesia, Sulawesi, I think, or something like that. And they found in a cave some paintings. Cave paintings and drawings.
Mostly of hands.
Hands, right.
So they were stenciled images.
Right. But what they believe that happened is, as often was used in ancient art, they blew through their mouths or through a straw paint, and they put their hands against the flat surface and blew the paint on it, and when they removed their hand, there was a stencil.
The shadow of the hand.
And there were a couple of animals, one some sort of pig. And they knew that these images were there, but they didn't know how to date them.
Now they
dated them, and they've dated them now to 40,000 BC. And as it turns out, that's about the same age as the caves in Spain, which were about in Altamira, but the ones in France.
Let's go.
Those they've known are only about 25,000.
No, I think they're 15.
15 to 20, they're not exactly sure.
Oh, they're
from what
practically new.
I know,
I
exactly.
Mean, you could even
it's
take
like a Subaru. You saw a picture of a Subaru, a guy saying, oh, and it's like, it's dual carbons. Anyway, and so part of the article, which was interesting, dealt with the fact that it seems as if from the earliest times, man, in this case, one off of Indonesia and two in now Central Europe, have used images to represent themselves. Right. And at least in terms of the Spanish ones and the French ones, it is thought that these are ways in some sort of magical way of, if you make an image of that pig or that horse or whatever, you gain power over it. And in fact, in one of them at Lascaux, if I'm not mistaken, I remember there's actually a spear in one of the stuck in. So as I have shown this in my cave, protected as I am,
I shall do this.
I shall do this. Yes, exactly. Like a totem of sorts.
Right.
And in others, I think in Lascaux, they actually show a few little stick figures, but then one has to also put in, and I don't think those have been dated, a number of the Aboriginal images, rock images, paintings, etc., and carvings.
So just explaining my reaction, what I was trying to say initially. Here is a quote from, one of these guys who's discovered. And this is what annoys me. It was this quote doesn't. It's this. It was previously thought that Western Europe was the centerpiece of a symbolic explosion in early human artistic activity. Right. Well, why should it have been thought that Western Europe was where it exploded?
Because that was the first place it was found.
Well, but that doesn't mean...
Well, I mean...
Why would they then say, we found it, so this is where it started?
Well, because that's how all science and history happens, and then you add to it.
No, but you don't make the claim.
Oh,
here we
you're
found
being
it.
Politically correct.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Oh, because it was in Western Europe,
yes,
so
Western
it all
Europe.
had to happen.
I mean, now that is partly true.
And now we find some savages in some island in God knows
well, no,
where.
And it could have
did it 10,000 years before.
Quiet. It could be that they have also seen some migration patterns, so that perhaps there were migration patterns already of people from that area going down to
but it does, come on. Europeans are always saying everything started there, when in fact Asia, probably, and Africa.
Well, actually,
China.
they think Russia, actually. People came from Russia, then over to... But the only thing I'm saying is I know as a historian of what I'm a historian of. I mean, you date a painting, for example, or, painting or sculpture, either because there's factual evidence. The artist has inscribed 1602 on it. Or you have a letter saying, this painting was painted for Lynn Cullen and her family in 2011. Now, if there is no date on that work of art, and you find in the bosom and the boudoir of Lynn Cullen a letter saying, we paid Michelangelo so much in 2009, voila, we changed the date.
But then why do we act with such certainty?
Because we are certain about what we know.
Okay, but why don't we... Why should always be that appendage of as far as we know? No?
We thought X, Y, and Z stopped certain illnesses in the 19th century.
And we were wrong.
Well, we were wrong, but what else did we know? Did we not try sugar and honey for a cold before we found penicillin?
Did we not bleed people when we were actually sickening them further?
Well, in some cases that's not true, but...
Mostly it is.
No, well, bleeding was also very good in some instances, from what I've read.
Bleaches were good in some instances.
Yeah, bleaches are still used today.
They're sucking it.
But anyway, the point is you go with what you know at the moment, based upon the research. Otherwise, you're saying, oh, well, every goddamn creature in the world, probably even the giraffes, painted pictures.
Oh, like I said, anything like that.
No, but I mean, where do you stop? I mean, the point is, we know this. I'm sure if you would have asked archaeologists on a one-to-one basis, they would have said, well, the chances are that people elsewhere made paintings too. And
it's like they constantly say, okay, man, we found Lucy.
Yeah,
Lucy,
right.
Lucy is the oldest known direct ancestor of it.
Then they found someone else.
They're the...
Well, because
it's the oldest one we
Well, what would you rather say? I don't know how long man's been here. He's been here a long time.
No, but
I mean,
you
really.
say the oldest to date that we know.
All right, to date. Everyone listening, whenever you make a factual, to date, I've paid my electric
That's
bill.
right. Don't be
to
so
date, my
goddamn
lasagna.
arrogant.
It's not arrogant.
It is.
It's a matter of the amount of knowledge we have.
It's humans' need to be sure.
Okay, fine.
All right.
But,
Okay,
but
so this is where it started. Because otherwise they get nervous.
Oh, God, you're being
No.
annoying. Let's move on. Let's talk about the beauty of those images. I find what's interesting, I mean, I can see the
What
logic
I found
of...
interesting is the hand.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
The hand has such long, thin fingers. That's what I thought. The hand. I would think a 40,000-year-old hand would be shorter.
Well, but don't some
stumpier.
apes have very long fingers? And since we've descended from...
No, I think they're thicker.
Some of them are very long in terms of for pulling and whatever. I don't know, but I think I'm right.
So what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say the interesting thing about hands, the thing that strikes me just from a sort of symbolic and what I know to date about symbolism is this notion of since they couldn't write and since they weren't sophisticated enough to have an image that would distinguish you from me or even perhaps man from woman, it was like, I am here. I am the master of my own destiny.
Yeah.
To date.
To date. Thank you.
Until a photo booth arrives and says, "Hey, Lucy, come on, let's take a selfie."
No, unless somebody can. This just
Wouldn't that be
in.
great? A selfie from Lucy? That could almost be a cover of the New Yorker. Oh, have you noticed on that, to date, that the New Yorker now in the last, I guess it's maybe in the last year, aside from just the rather lilting images
I
that's
do
cover,
know. I
it's
can
become
finish your
politicized. Yes.
It's more political.
Yeah.
Than West.
Yeah.
The cover art.
Like they had one on athletes as rapists and bullying and whatever. And then there was another about the president, but I can't remember exactly what that was. But good for them.
Well, remember when they did, this is long ago, so it's long ago, 6 years ago. It was before the Obamas took power. Don't you remember that controversial cover of the two of them,
Fist
Michelle
bumping?
doing a fist bump?
Yeah. Well, I also remember the one, when was this? When they had the picture that created all sorts of things, when they had the black person kissing the Muslim or something on Valentine's Day. That was maybe in the last 4 or 5 years. That created a whole...
Well,
because I think there was something happening in Brooklyn at that time between the two.
Ideally, art does create...
Yeah, that's the purpose.
Yeah,
because
right, that's it.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
No.
Yes.
It depends on the picture and the words.
But the only thing is, yes, you can have synecdoche, the literary term, where the thing stands for the whole, but more often you can have a very complex idea shown in a picture. Sure, one word can be very powerful, but hate, all right, but you can show a hateful thing which has far more evident episode that's far more pungent than just the word hate.
Yes.
Thank you. The Bickersons. Do you remember that?
We don't have to.
We love one another. You
Yes,
don't
but
bicker with someone you don't care or respect.
That's right. But staying on the artistic front.
Please.
Right, because
I'm so artistic.
I know.
We will not descend into sport.
That is your... We might. That is,
We might, yes,
that
we
is
probably
your
will.
milieu, though.
My
And
milieu.
it would be very difficult to find many talk shows that bring up subjects.
That's true. Unless it's
arts,
about
literature.
censorship.
Yeah, right.
There's a penis in the National Gallery. Oy! That's about the only time art is talked about. Or price. Censorship or price. That penis painting cost $6 million. Oy!
Well, I have to tell you, I once said major oys about
Yes.
this European artist, Note Vital, who who had bronzed some testicles of a steer or something. Okay, so bovine
Balls.
I knew this.
It's a linguistic.
Bronze,
Bowling
like
balls.
bronzed bovine balls.
Yes.
And there they sat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's art.
Well, why isn't it? But
And
if you can have two oranges in bronze, why can't you have two balls?
80,000,
Well,
100,000.
The Sokolwski rule, which is the financial value of art,
is whatever sucker's willing.
well, exactly. It's market driven. It has nothing to do. I mean, Warhol, Michelangelo, they're all wonderful artists. The only reason, let's say, that, well, Michelangelo probably would be more than Warhol, but look, marvelous artists in the 17th century, major artists, Poussin, Caravaggio, you could buy paintings for them, buy them for less money than you can buy a Warhol, simply because Warhol is recognized as an expensive artist, and people who want to show how rich they are. When you walked into the room, you say, "Oh, Warhol, that guy must have big balls." Pardon the expression. Whereas an artist who's unknown,
Yeah.
So the two often price and run parallel, but they really, and sometimes that there's an elision, but most of the time it's nothing to do with.
You have to admit that the art world right now, I mean,
it's so over.
It's so full of shit. And so, I mean, it's such crap.
No, that's not true.
Parts
of it are, certainly.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but not all of it.
No, not all of it.
Okay.
But an awful lot.
Well, you know why? Because I think...
And it's corrupt.
Well, honey dear, what isn't?
I guess.
No, I think part of it has been owning before, as I was using my business of like, oh, he's got big balls. You know, if your wife had a Bulgari necklace, if you had a Jaguar, if you had Arabian polo ponies, that was richness. And now you're a powerful guy, you could afford that. But now art plays the same role, and added to it, like a polo pony just meant, oh, you like to race.
But it dies, too.
Well, it dies. But the other part,
stays.
art is ennobling.
Oh.
Didn't presidents and popes and Pericles and pederasts all collect art? I want to be like, Sir...
Did you say Pericles?
Pericles. Pericles, the Greek guy, also
Who's
commissioned
Pericles?
Pericles. They're sort of a religious title. Paracletes. Yeah, like in the Eastern Church, the Paraclete.
Like a prelate?
No. It may be similar to a prelate in what they do, but it's a specific Eastern Orthodox.
Well, just let me tell you, since we're going far afield here.
Yes.
When you said Pericles,
yes,
I heard parakeets.
And I heard Pericles.
All right, and then I thought,
sounds like, let's call the whole thing off.
Well, I thought maybe he meant Pericles, so that's why I asked. But then when I thought parakeet, and since you're here,
yes.
I happened to hear. Do you remember about a year or two ago when you were thinking of getting a parrot?
A parrot, yes, right, exactly.
And you even went to parrot parenting
yes,
school.
for 3 hours.
Parenting school.
For $75. I remember it. Which taught me I didn't want a parrot.
Right.
They're very demanding animals.
Well, I happened to hear an interview. This had to have been on NPR recently, and it made me think of you, and that you had made a wise choice.
Yeah.
And that you'd gone about this in a very, very adult manner. It wasn't just, I want a parrot, and you went and got a parrot. You thought, I better...
Yes, right.
So they were saying that birds, by their natures, are not meant to be pets like cats are, like dogs are.
Oh, that's interesting.
And, in fact, a parrot or some of these other very bright birds some have been tested, and some of them are as bright as essentially a 3-year-old human. Yeah. Okay.
But they never get old. They're always like 3-year-old kids. They don't ever get older in terms of their mentality.
But they live for up to 80 years.
Oh, yeah, very long.
So let's say you get this parrot.
So you have the terrible twos.
You have a 3-year-old,
for 85
and they were
years.
saying if you want to live with a rather demanding 3-year-old for the rest of your life, that's what getting a bird is.
And on the other part
Unless
of it,
you want to torture it and stick it in a cage.
Well, the two things that I found out. One, I didn't want to put up with all of the sort of mess because, I mean...
You have to bathe them?
Well, not just that, but I mean, they need... Like a little child, they need things to keep them alert. So they were telling us that you should have buckets for every day of the week, and this is like Tuesday's bucket, and every day
Different
there'd
toys?
be toys, even if it was things like ripped up newspaper, but it would rip one day, it would chew another day, it would scratch another day.
Right, different things to keep them.
Right, keep them around.
Right.
But also, so there's that, and I thought, ugh, and then. And then you have, like, if you put sticks, you have to wash the sticks in bleach and then wash them in water so there'd be no bugs that would get into them.
No, you really did.
But the part that really touched me, because at that point I was traveling quite a bit, they are incredible bonders. And they just, not only do they get bored, first off, but they will pine for you. And literally, so they often say it's very good to have, even with little parakeets, pairs, because then they bond.
They're not alone.
Right. But if they don't, you know how you have someone come in and change the cat litter, or, you know, dog poop, remove it, etc. That's not good enough. You have to have someone come in, not only bring the water,
and engage them
for
and
15
play
minutes.
with them. And I know you've got to.
But when one dies, especially with the bigger parrots, they will mourn and, in fact, sometimes actually go insane. And they have hospitals, and you see these big parrots or macaws or cockatoos, etc., who literally will pull out their feathers out in pain.
They're rending.
Rending. Yeah, right. Or they show them when they really are well sort of domesticated, at least to a human sense. They literally will get in bed and sleep with you under the covers without sort of pecking at you.
You know what? You know what breaks my heart is as we're saying this, I'm thinking, can you imagine all these magnificent animals that are kept by people who don't do anything? They're just tortured.
I don't think that happens too much with big birds. And the only reason I say that, not through any knowledge, but from this one class, they create such a ruckus that
they don't allow it, huh?
Well, or you get rid of it, because it would just screech and whatever all the time. Because it was funny, we didn't get a chance to touch the birds. But at one point, I mean, most of it, the part that was a little disappointing, listen to that national aviary, was that it was all talking and very little...
we have a call.
Okay.
Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
I have a brief parakeet story here.
Okay.
For the past 4 months, I've had a wild blue parakeet outside the door, outside of my bird feeder, and it was there this morning again. So I called. It's been there for like 4 months. So I called the aviary about 2 weeks ago. I said, "What do I do about this parakeet?" Because at the where I get my bird feed at, the guy said that they're very sensitive to cold weather, and they will die off if you don't into warmth.
Well, how do you get them?
I emailed some people to find out, what do I do with this thing? I don't want them to die. But to the same degree, I'm like you. I don't think a bird should be kept in a cage.
Well, maybe just for the winter.
How am I going to... So then some people say, well, if you put a cage... How are you going to capture a wild bird? He's been free for 4 months now. And he loves to...
Oh, but he's going to die.
Well, but he doesn't love being cold. So
you do, though. How do you... Okay, yeah, I understand that, but how do I...
The aviary didn't tell you how you might capture it?
Well, he suggested I call this the Parakeet Association, maybe the Tom was associated with, and then some lady called me from Aliquippa, and she said, put a cage outside, and maybe they'll go inside the cage.
And then you can flip open and close the door.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of, this sounds awful, but the guys that can trap animals like, I once did a story for TV on a guy that has a business called Critter Control.
Right.
He knows how to capture just about anything.
Maybe I could... Well, like I said, I tried 2 associations that do have, do take care of parakeets, but then well,
why don't you seriously try Critter Control and ask him if he could conceivably trap this parakeet, and then you got to find someone who's willing to take it in for the winter.
I know exactly.
Well, you probably could take it to. Aren't there some bird shelters? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But then my wife said, "Well, maybe he's had a good run. He's had his freedom. I don't think he's gonna go in the cage."
Well, when I go out there, you never know.
At first, he was kind of like the other birds like picked on him, like kicked him around, and now he's getting more aggressive.
This is
morning. I love the little bird. I mean, I don't want. I have a cat, so
heart.
The cat might eat it.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want that.
But that's the law of nature. I mean,
it's a sky blue parakeet, and I just saw him this morning again. I'm getting nervous. It's getting colder, and I'm afraid that he's gonna. But I don't think he's gonna. I don't think you're gonna capture him, because if he's been free so long, in my opinion, what do I know? But he seems seems like he's enjoying his freedom. He's probably thinking, thank God I escaped that cage. I'm not going back in a cage.
Yeah, but we're all engaging in anthropomorphism here. You don't know what the heck that
Well, and it also might be the temperature, except at night, maybe he goes someplace where it's a little warmer. It might be when it gets cold enough that it will. So if you left the window open with the heat on inside and maybe have a trail of, bird seed or whatever, he'd come in and you can slam the door. I don't know.
When I go outside and I feed the birds, he flies away. He's like taught. The other birds taught him. You don't associate with humans.
I see.
You're part of us now. You're not going back to back to slavery.
Oh God, this is breaking my heart.
It's complex, Lynn. It's not easy.
Oh, that's man!
True. I don't know what the hell to do. I guess I could call critter control and ask them. They'll probably say, "Yeah, we kill animals. We don't want to. We want people like raccoons in your house or."
No, but they know how to live trap.
Okay, I'll take your suggestion up, Lynn.
Do it.
All right.
Another question, Lynn. Before I get off the air here, real quick, are you going to the show tonight?
Yes.
Off the record.
Yes.
Okay, I might introduce myself. I kind of feel kind of weird.
Oh, do.
Well, you're kind of one of my heroes.
No, if you see me, you absolutely introduce yourself.
My wife's like, go talk to Lynn. I said, I don't know. It's like, you see you're kind of a celebrity. Hey, I don't want to be like, well, hi, Lynn.
Hey, I'm going to end up walking through that crowd saying, are you the guy with the parakeet? Are you the guy with the parakeet? Come on, you say hello to me.
Or you know what? Get a little plastic parakeet and pin it onto your lapel. Then she'll know.
Out on my shoulder. You'll say, that's the guy with
That's the guy, right.
You damn well better say hello if you see me.
I will.
Okay.
I've seen you other years. It's a great. If anybody's listening and they want to have a great time, go to Off the Record tonight. It's beyond. It's
good.
It is.
I've never
really
been. Maybe
good.
I'll try going.
Yes.
But Tom, you'd love it if you're an artist like yourself. I mean, it's off the record. It's off the chart funny.
It's
okay,
off the
good.
wall.
Well, no, I've always been told that by people who go.
Yeah, it's
well.
good.
Thanks for the tip.
And it's so Pittsburgh. It's so. I don't know how these people, these creative geniuses figure these things out. It's beyond me.
Listen, yeah, there's a lot of talent. They work really hard at it. Hey, thanks so much. I hope to meet you tonight.
Talk to you.
Bye. Gee whiz. And all because I thought you said parakeet.
See how you just flow and ebb?
Okay, so Ray, your bromance.
Yeah, my bromance.
Has written in. I haven't heard from him, I think,
since
you
don't have the magnets, what do you can expect? Okay.
Sorry, Lynn, but I must again side with Tom. Oh, Ray, I'm shocked. There is a principle of epistemology called reliabilism. Oh, even Tom doesn't know that. Now we're into epistemology and reliabilism that suggests that something can be put forward as knowledge as long as it has been derived by a process that normally produces verifiable truth. Otherwise, nothing can be known unless only known internally. For example,
when I eat cabbage, I have gas. Well, well, I'm just saying that's what he said.
We were on such a high level.
No, but I'm describing it for
we were using words like epistemology.
Well, gas is a good word.
And you say gas.
Sorry, Ray, your flow. We stopped your flow. Get on with it.
Don't you order me around, old man.
Oh,
for example,
you're older than I am.
Not by much. For example, says Ray, I know you are broadcasting now, even though I am not there to see it for myself.
See?
All right, you Mr. Smarty Pants.
No, but the first.
All right.
But for the first. But for the first part, I think that's important because something that's been put forward, as long as a scientist has tried, or an archaeologist, to find more. I'm sure they'd love to find 100 more sites of cave, but from what they know already. You know why? Because otherwise, it leaves things so limitless that the human brain
That's why
can't
I said
comprehend.
No, the weak human brain.
Oh, stop.
Okay, here we go.
So we should stop. Wait. So we should stop teaching people to know their ABCs because maybe all of a sudden we should add some other letter because there might be someone out there who speaks. So we don't have Z.
I'm not responding.
Shaw.
Roger writes, my cat will get that parakeet for that.
Oh, now we're getting to the vestigial.
No reason to call critter control. Roger's cat will do it. That green thing around his neck is a huge, loud bell. That's your cat. This 9-year-old 16-pounder still gets the birds with a bell on. Now, and chipmunks, and mice, and moles, and snakes, and bunnies. I'm really surprised candy was delivered this past Easter. I thought... That's a menace.
That's pretty good.
I thought Tom was about to talk football when he said, pair of cleats.
Isn't my boy? I mean, well, no, it's not about my what do you call it? Elocution. It's just how people, if you don't know a word, this is brilliant. You go to the words you do know.
Yes.
So you heard parakeet, he heard pair of cleats. And that goes back to what Ray said.
Well,
what was it again? Relativism, yeah.
No, it wasn't relativism.
What the hell was it?
It was reliabilism.
Reliabilism, okay. But see? Yeah. See, even without us wanting, we're coming circular in this.
Dear God.
Birds and paracletes and gas. I'm sure birds have gas, too.
Sometimes my son will say, so what'd you talk about on the show today? If he asks me that, like at 5 this evening, I won't, first of all, believe it or not, I will not remember, except maybe parakeets. That might be it. I never remember.
But part of that is, two things. Number one, old age. No, but I think it's like, I always think that, what was it they always said about the Seinfeld show? Oh, it was a show about nothing?
Yeah.
But how much things, and what was so funny about that show was that, although it was a show about nothing, the terms like regifting and things like that would get soup Nazi. Everyone in the world knew those terms because they were so clever and true, because we all know a soup Nazi. We've all regifted even before we knew the name of it.
I have a picture of me with the soup Nazi.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do.
When you were visiting New York and you did a selfie?
No, we were both at the casino here.
Oh, what was he doing in Pittsburgh?
As a matter of fact, it was like the only time I've been to the damn casino. We were both judges in a best hamburger contest.
Oh. Well, what the hell does he know about hamburgers? He knows about soup.
He was a chef.
Yeah, but just of soup.
No, he's a desperate person trying to make a living, is what he is. No, he was only in about 4 episodes.
But he had, from what I know, because I passed them, and I think they certainly couldn't use his name without, signing on, especially in New York where everyone's so litigious.
Yeah.
There's like 6 or 7.
So he's
with
an
the
actor,
lines.
but he's an actor by profession.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, sure he is. And that little part pretty much destroyed his acting career.
Really? Because it was so
Well, think about it, because he couldn't be anywhere. He couldn't do anything. Oh, look, there's the soup Nazi.
No, but you could say that about the person who was Batman or the person who was...
Well, but that happens to a lot of people.
Well, that's true. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, after Walter Brennan played Grandpa with that limp.
No, but it's true. Sometimes
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, you could, especially if they're in a sitcom and get known as a certain character, it becomes very hard then.
But, it's interesting. I once went to the soup place right in the middle of that. And I don't know if he was putting on, but it was true. He would be, and people were desperate. Like, if you didn't go up there and say, a small Manhattan clam chowder, no, oyster cookies. If you'd wait, now soup for you. I mean, he really was punitive.
What do you mean?
He had a company. That's how it all started. There was literally a place that this guy, Soup Nazi, ran.
But he didn't talk like that, really.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't, really.
Well, then,
so you're saying he
maybe
had
that's
a soup place and he was acting a part in his soup?
Oh, yeah, because, there'd be long lines and some people would be, I don't know, should I have the mac and cheese soup or should I have the noodle and whatever? Hurry up. No chips for you. And see people get thrown out of there. Yeah, it was a real...
All right, well, William says... And here I hear paraclete, and I think of it as the Greek
Holy
name
Spirit, that's
for the
right.
Holy
Yes.
Spirit. And that is right, huh?
Yes, but also a paraclete can be a what do you call it?
Down to
A
earth
person.
kind of a person.
No, like bishop or something.
But he's saying it is the Greek name.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the
No,
Holy
it is.
Spirit.
Paraclete is. That's
So
true.
you're right.
Yes. Look, now
William.
someone else is.
And Noreen has something to say about parakeets. Lynn, in my life, I have captured 2 parakeets.
Oh, well then, call up. What's his name?
Oh my God, yes. One was sitting in a tree in my backyard, and I walked up very slowly, talking very gently, and grabbed him. Since I already had a canary, I gave the bird to my cousin. He lived a long, happy life. My second capture happened years later. My daughter had a parakeet, and she was changing his cage outside. Why would you change the cage outside?
Right.
And accidentally knocked it over, and the bird escaped. Several days later, I looked outside and saw Tweety amongst other birds at the feeder. Once again, I slowly approached him, talking gently, and picked him up. Hey, Noreen, hey, here's what I want to say. Caller, if you're still listening, I am quite serious.
Call Noreen.
Would you go over to his house and capture his bird?
I'm
serious.
When you were
I'll get you guys together if you both cooperate here.
Then maybe it's your marriage made in heaven, bird heaven. It's funny when you were reading as dramatically as only you can do. I thought of that old vaudeville routine. Slowly I turn, step by step. You know that one. It was this whole thing. Whenever you said, "Oh God," I remember they used it on the episode of Lucille Ball. But whenever one said this name Muriel. It was this guy's former wife. Okay. And you'd say, "Oh, like Muriel." Slowly I turned. It was a very, very famous vaudeville routine. I can't remember who was the first one to do it. Probably someone nameless, but.
Oh, God.
But see, no, but the thing, that goes back to when you said, "Oh, he'll never get it." I think if the bird would see, because certain birds, I have no idea about parakeets, have incredible memories, like crows.
Yeah, but this is not his bird, so this guy's a stranger.
No, but if he, that's right, it's not his bird, right. But
I know crows.
Oh, they can remember people who hurt them particularly.
No.
Oh yeah.
The crows that hang out in your yard.
Oh yeah.
They know you.
Oh yeah.
And they know when you come, when you go. They recognize you.
But also, if they've seen someone beating a crow,
they do not like certain people.
Then that Hitchcock film is. I remember one time years and years ago in my parents' yard. A crow had died, but I remember it was huge.
No, they're big birds.
Oh, it was like.
No, they're very large birds. Okay, so enough already. Enough. I want to get back to where I was trying to go before you said paraclete.
So that word was like there's a term for what I'm thinking of. But anyway, go ahead.
You know what? I think Alfred Hitchcock called the thing that sets his movies off. He called it the MacGuffin.
Oh, I've heard something like that, yeah.
And I forget
which was
why.
A made-up word, I think, from something. I think so.
I don't
from
know.
Some person's name who was the influencer. Anyway,
whatever.
We'll look it up.
So here's where I was trying to go. The Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded today to, as usual, someone we never heard of. I hate to speak like a xenophobic or,
I'm trying to remember, what nationality was he?
French.
French, that's right.
Although he has a name that sounds Italian or Spanish.
Right.
Anyway, what are you doing?
I'm looking up MacGuffin.
Oh. So.
No, I'm not just looking at the email because you're so boring. No, I'm looking at MacGuffin.
So here's the thing. So the Nobel Prize was awarded again today, and like Ladbrokes, that runs the betting
bookmaker, as the English call them.
They every year take odds and set odds on who's winning all these things. And I was reading the story about who they said was going to win it, and none of the people they said did. And in fiction, a MacGuffin is a plot device in the form of some goal, desired object, or other motivator that the protagonist pursues. The specific nature of a MacGuffin is typically unimportant to the overall plot. So it's it's like Paraclete. It took us away.
Well, do you remember
right?
what's very interesting? Do you know the English writer named Robertson Davies? No, the Canadian writer.
No.
Oh, he's fantastic. Robertson Davies, pick him up. There's a quartet of novels which are fabulous, but it begins with a young boy throwing a stone just in child's play and blinding someone. And that becomes the MacGuffin, this whole four-generational story, which is about Canada and Canada's growth, is just from this one incident. Or like in the what's the famous movie, It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes.
When the kid falls in the ice and that becomes the...
Okay.
So there's the MacGuffin.
But it comes from Scotland, a Scottish name taken from a story about two men in a train. One man says, "What's that package up there in the baggage rack?" And the other answers, "Oh, that's a MacGuffin." The first one asks, "What's a MacGuffin?" "Well," the other man says, "it's an apparatus for trapping lions in the Scottish Highlands." The first man says, "But there are no lions in the Scottish Highlands."
Oh, yeah.
And the other one answers, "Well, then
works.
That's no MacGuffin." So you see, a MacGuffin is nothing at all.
But
I don't know. It makes my head hurt.
But that always sounds like a traditional sort of Yiddish would be, well, see, it works. You know.
Okay, so
But
anyway,
anyway,
I wanted to get to this this funny thing about the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Oh, yes, the French thing.
Because
yes.
I think this is one of the cleverest critical writing things I've seen in some time. It was in the New York Times. It's by the, I suppose, a literature writer, a critic, Dwight Garner. And he writes this thing, and he really goes after the Swedish Academy that, of course, presents all these Nobels. And, about how they do the
Well, one of the things
literature
before you
award.
read this, that one of the things I've seen is that they tend to pick people, I suppose this is true scientifically as well, but in terms of at least literature and Peace Prize, that tend to be very political.
That's
So in
right.
other words, a beautiful novel about roses
Right.
and the hillsides they're not going to pick,
That's
but
right.
something that
so
looks
it
at
has to be
social strife.
Right.
Or,
So they're very sort of like liberal and politically correct.
Uh-huh.
And so it doesn't, even if the guy who wins the award or the woman is not writing specifically political things, but if they've been themselves.
Oh, yes, right. Tormented or whatever.
Tormented.
because some people
exiled.
thought, Philip Roth made a funny comment.
No, that's,
that's
what
in
I
there?
want to get
Okay,
to. That's
yeah.
what I want to get to. So Philip Roth has never won.
No.
Which is pretty amazing to me.
Well,
Guess
a lot
who
of-
else,
lot
guess
of
who
writers
else has
haven't
never
won.
won?
Who?
The Swedish Academy never saw fit to give the Nobel Prize for Literature to James Joyce.
Right,
Never saw
right,
fit
right.
to give it to Virginia Woolf. Never saw fit to give it to Vladimir Nabokov. I mean, so they've given it to, as I said, I never know. Although
Well, you
I-
look at all their works, which are great. They're all very insular works in a funny way. Certainly Joyce and Nabokov in a way. I mean, even though you could look and take his works as having implications, they're always very much about a very tight place and peace. And these usually tend to be about cross-pollinization,
Right. So, well, Roth was asked about this. Hey, how come you're repeatedly passed over? Go ahead, we got a call.
We'll give the answer first.
I'll never get it in.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi, Lynn and Tom.
Hi.
Hello.
It's Michael.
Hi,
Michael from sometimes New York, but now in Fort Worth, Texas at the moment.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
Hi, Michael in Fort Worth.
Now, I'm only calling because I think Tom is misidentifying the MacGuffin concept.
No, this was
because-
from Webster's, not me.
Well, no. I think when you say the thing about the guy, in A Wonderful Life having hurt himself, I don't think that's
A
traditionally what
MacGuffin.
MacGuffin meant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because what Hitchcock would say that, for example, in Sabotage, there's a little kid that's carrying a
Michael.
package, and
Can I interrupt
Yes.
you? Most of us don't know that the Sabotage is not like one of the Hitchcock movies we know. Do you know any other Hitchcock movies that are better known and know
Well,
what the MacGuffin is?
except this is it's like a clear example, even if you didn't know it, though.
Okay,
because I think it illustrates that it's something that the audience knows that Hitchcock puts into the film where you know something and it misdirects your attention to pay attention to that.
Oh,
because,
I see. Okay.
Because you know something and you follow the course of that, and that he can either, like in the case, we know it's a bomb, will it go off? He's a little kid in a bus. As it turns out, it does not go off, but the suspense is caused by the creation of, like the elaborate creation of something that directs the audience.
Right, you're expecting it to blow up, right?
Yeah, and so there's various versions of that. I can't think of another one offhand, but I do think that the kind of theme that Tom was just talking about, like the underlying theme of...
No, it's slightly different. No, I know what you're saying.
Or like the... it's straight... I can't...
someone's just written us one.
You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, Michael, thank you. And here's somebody... We got it. Thank you. Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. Another, somebody else says Hitchcock
specialist
actually was talking about the script for one of my favorite movies, the movie Notorious. He needed a crucial clue to spill out of a wine bottle.
Oh, that's
right.
At
first, he thought of diamonds, but there was an argument against that. Then he suggested uranium ore. There was an objection. Wait a minute. We were just talking about diamonds. Hitchcock said that it didn't matter what the clue actually was. It was simply something interesting to drive the plot forward. The thing itself didn't matter at all. Nazis were doing bad things. That was all you needed to know.
Right, exactly.
It was sand.
No, it was uranium ore because he was
But it looked like
smuggling.
sand. It was like...
No, but they knew because there was something said in the film.
Well, yeah, because they were going to...
Yeah, that's what because that's how they got the ore.
It looked like sand.
It wasn't Frederick March was the Nazi, wasn't it?
No.
Well,
No.
You sure?
Claude Rains.
Claude Rains, that's right. Yeah, touche.
Okay, so back to what I was trying to say. Philip Roth, when asked...
Why he wasn't chosen.
How come you haven't won the Literature Award? He said, I don't know, but I wonder if I had called Portnoy's complaint the orgasm under rapacious capitalism, I might have won.
That's right. That's what he said. That is funny. Well, someone was suggesting this, I think he's Swedish, this writer, I can't remember his name now, very long Scandinavian name.
I know who you're talking about, and I will...
Von Wisterwalker or something like that.
It is, I've got it here somewhere.
Anyway, it's a writer who is like...
Knausgaard, Karl Ove Knausgaard.
Yes, that's right. Who's 3 books, I think, into a 4 or 5 book saga, which is basically about his everyday life. And I bought the first one, and it is sort of magical. I mean, I did put it down, but where he'll talk about eating breakfast, and he goes on for 200 words. But it's sort of magical. It's not what you think of being boring.
Wow.
But then there's another one about his life with his wife, and But many people think he would at some day.
A lot of people think he will, but here's a problem with him winning. In his volume 2 called My Struggle, he calls the Swedes boring, smug, conformist, and no fun to drink with.
Well, but remember, isn't it the Norwegian prize? It's Nobel's Norwegian?
No, Swedish.
Oh, Swedes.
Swedes. So he denigrates Swedes. And they never give it to anyone who writes anything whimsical or funny or humorous. It's always... And they also never give it to anybody whose books sell. I'm being a little...
Well, it's curious. That's something interesting. That's true. They usually tend to be lesser known.
Here they said
but I'm trying to think, who would you say... I mean, you think of like Nobel Prize, and that's relative,
Well, let me tell you the top
3
3 this year, according to Ladbrokes, which was wrong. A Kenyan novelist who we don't know.
Oh, right.
Noguchi wa Thiong'o.
Right.
A Japanese surrealist named Haruki Murakami.
Oh, he's wonderful. Okay. Wonderful.
And a Belarus investigative journalist, Svetlana Alexievich or something.
I found that interesting. I did read that because I thought it was always sort of fiction.
Okay, so here's the weird thing.
That last person,
a novel. They said... this guy writing said he doubted that the Japanese guy would win. He says, for one thing, his book sells. His books sell. And that's like, that's definitely a mark against him. However, the woman was forced into exile. The Kenyan was also, I guess, imprisoned for a while. So they were thought to... They said that the Americans most likely to win, according to Ladbrokes, are Philip Roth, followed by, oh, dear God, no, Joyce Carol Oates.
Why do you say, oh, God, no? She can be very boring, I'll admit that. Although she can be very good, too. She just goes up and down.
Oh, yeah, she just, what? She writes a book every 5 seconds. What do you... Has anyone read all of Joyce Carol?
No, I haven't.
Jesus Christ.
No, but when she's good, she's good.
Yeah, and when she's bad, she's lousy.
All right,
and enough already.
All right.
They're
not gepischt.
Okay, so they said Roth, Oates, Thomas Pynchon. Is he still alive?
Yeah.
And guess who they come in at number 4? Bob Dylan.
Ugh. Also, I guess a poet could...
I guess his poetry.
So poetry,
and
that's
did
fiction,
you see this thing today that his...
oh, yeah, I did.
His a volume
I
of
thought that was
Dylan's...
slightly a little masturbatory.
A volume of his lyrics.
Lyrics, yeah.
Is being published, and it weighs, what?
Yeah,
13
like
pounds or something?
Yeah, right. No, a question I was after you before... You know, again, it's something like a Nobel Prize or the MacArthur Award. It's all relative, depending on the jury and the times.
Right.
But what humorist, modern humorist, not, you know, the first thing that jumped into my mind is, oh God, the jumping turtle, a frog of Calaveras County. What's that?
Twain.
For the past. But who would we think as a humorist of today? I mean, I suppose partly Roth.
Somebody who's writing...
Or whimsical, or whatever the word was you used. Oh, Celine
has one.
Oh, my, she has a lot.
Okay, what you got?
Oh, David Sedaris. No.
David Sedaris?
He's clever,
but he'd
I
never
wouldn't
win a Nobel.
He's clever,
You've got to be...
Well, no, well, but I mean, I would say in terms of Twain, now granted that's 120 years ago, but there's some sort of gravitas at the end, even though he takes these little funny stories about Missouri. But it has to have something that has some staying power, not just, I mean, Cole Porter would never win it for his lyrics, as brilliant as they are.
Oh, but they are.
But they're never, I mean, you don't stay up nights singing, thinking about tomato. I mean, they're wonderful, but they're not transformative. Wouldn't you agree?
Well,
I mean, Seinfeld is wonderful. No, but for example,
Margaret Atwood, that's good. Although she's not an American, she's a Canadian.
Well, she's always rather dour.
Wait a minute, she is mentioned in this article. Okay. Somebody who's probably going to get one.
But she's rather dour. She's not really.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were talking about who as a whimsical.
I can never think of names, book titles, or anything, so I'm going to come up empty.
No, but I was saying, for example, two funny there's TV shows, but to make my example, Seinfeld, which was wonderful and emblematic of its time, but, and here's another pot stirrer, All in the Family. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was funny, but I mean, when it was written, it took on homosexuality, racism, everything, and did it with such aplomb. Because the pot stirrer thing, they were talking about the guy who produced it, and he's still alive, the Hollywood producer, Norman Lear.
Yes, he just wrote a memoir.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, I would say between those two, as much as you could laugh your head off on All in the Family, it really made America think in those times about those issues, and made Archie Bunker, a loudmouth, working class, whatever, but with a soul. So everyone in that, meathead, who was, you would say, the educated college boy, but he was a jerk. So it sort of played all aspects of America against one another, showing the foibles and the richness of each.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, yesterday I mentioned something about the dog in Spain. They killed it.
Oh, right, yeah, they killed it.
They killed it.
Oh, God, if it was in Pittsburgh, they'd give it an award and make a monument to it.
They killed that poor dog.
Well, the only thing is...
Oh, come on.
Wait. People,
he was locked
I know. But people are just terrified about this Ebola
so because
thing.
People are fucking hysterical, then this dog gets a bullet to the head.
All right. I'd rather a dog get a bullet to the head than a person.
Hysterical. Okay.
So we're going to put a clinic right next to your house, darling, and see how you feel about that. I'd love to see what one of those Z-Mat or Hi-Mac or whatever those suits are. What do they call those little...
Hazmat.
Hazmat, all right, thank you.
Okay, so here's what I want to say. I want to say to this poor guy, Duncan, who died in Dallas.
Ah, yes.
Duncan died in Dallas. I was listening to something somewhere, and they said, do you think his family will sue? Because it is...
Sue whom?
The hospital.
Why?
Why? Because he came in seeking treatment, and they mishandled his diagnosis.
I didn't know that. Oh, really? Oh, really?
Totally. They sent him home with antibiotics. They sent him home.
Wait, let me stop you for a second. He's the one... No, but he's not the one that flew in.
Yes.
I thought they put him in a...
Well, wrong.
All right, well...
He went into the ER. They were informed that he had come from Liberia.
Yeah.
He's feverish. He's vomiting. And they sent him home for 2 days. Okay. He becomes obviously sicker and sicker, comes back. Then they take him in. But those 2 days that were lost may well have cost him his life. Also, they screwed around and didn't, there were things they could have done for him. Why didn't, all these, you start wondering if there's a racial element here. All these white guys that got treated, that have been treated in this country, got certain drugs. And
it's interesting. There's a foundation on, I only know this because of a friend, but it's the same sort of thing. This was in Connecticut, very swanky town in Connecticut, and this kid was playing football and scratched himself and went home and they put a bandage, but started feeling feverish. Went to the hospital. They said, it's nothing. Yeah, we don't want to over-medicate. The kid got really sick, and then 2 days later he died. And he got some sort of infection, and it was the same sort of thing. So, I think we can't jump to the racial thing. No, it's worse because they knew of Ebola. Yeah, no, I go with that. But
so the hospital, a nurse did ascertain that he was from Liberia. She did have that information. Mm-hmm. Somehow that information never got to the doctors, nor did the doctors ask the right questions. So here's what I found, and this will not surprise anybody. That in the state of Texas, it is flat out impossible to sue a hospital. In order for the family to be able to win any compensation for possibly costing this guy his life, they would have to prove that the people in the hospital acted with malice.
With malice. Right.
Well,
as opposed to just incompetence.
And then in the great state of Texas, they have put a cap, of course. So even if you
let me stop for a second. Is that because the law literally says that, or just precedent?
No,
it says that. Oh God!
No, they went.
Never move to Texas.
No, Texas is a
horrible place,
hellhole.
And they kill someone every other week. Literally. I think they execute 40, 60, 40, 50 people a year.
So, I don't know. His treatment, and the effort to isolate anyone exposed to him were delayed because doctors failed to diagnose the disease the first time he showed up in the ER with fever and pain and disclosed that he had been in West Africa.
Yeah, really.
He should have been treated sooner because early detection usually yields a pretty
and the one thing, just since we're talking about this and they keep repeating this, the one good thing, for lack of a better word, is that if you learn you've been in the proximity of such person, unless they are already exhibiting symptoms, you are safe.
Yeah, they were saying, by the way, that that the Republicans, as they head into the final stages of this election, are just like pigs in you-know-what. Mm-hmm. Because the way Republicans know how to win is instilling and ratcheting up fear.
And there have been a couple of New York Times articles saying that the White House maybe should there were some alerts early.
So now they are saying things like, and there's even been Republican candidates. There's a Republican candidate who used the video of James Foley's beheading against her opponent.
Yeah.
So between ISIS and Ebola, Republicans are like, oh, dear God.
Yeah, what more can we ask
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Because now they can say, look what's happening with Obama in office. Americans are having their heads cut off. Your kid.
Oh, they could even add on, even though it has no direct relation, they can add on Hillary. That's the third monster.
So they're just in heaven, and all of their, that's what they're going with. That's what they're going with. The Democrats will not keep you safe. That's what they've always used.
And the point is that the one point you could say you would hope something like Ebola. The other things you can argue about, but with Ebola. God, we want the nation and then the world to be safe and not to make it partisan politics. But, of course, that's not – we are normal, honest people.
Yeah, people are saying that the world has not handled this well. No. And, we have not. I don't know. So
I was shocked because in one of the articles I read that even in this country, that maybe it was that fellow or maybe it was one of the others, that they just didn't have the serum to treat this fellow. I don't know if it was this guy or someone else.
I don't buy that.
So they supposedly are ratcheting it up.
I think they find serum when they want it.
Well, that could be. But there was also something about the companies are not making a lot.
And they don't even know if it does work.
Well, true.
If you're dying, you pull out all stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And apparently something else that had worked for some people, they think, is to get a blood transfusion from somebody who survived it.
And who has the antibodies.
Exactly. So we know that there are people in this country who did survive it.
Well, as
the
with
doctor
AIDS.
or the mission. Yeah. They could have, if they were really trying to save this guy and thinking outside the box there in Dallas, they could have asked for the blood.
They could have made him worse.
And I just think that, this is
Although the only thing about that, though, is probably the only place they could do that would be blood from Liberia, and how long would it take to get here?
No, because there's people here in this country who have survived it.
Yeah, but do you think they would have saved that blood, though?
No, their blood now.
Oh, that's right. You're talking about people, medical people. Yeah, like
it's
those two.
Yeah,
a mistake.
So, but he's a black guy from Africa. And unfortunately, it's Dallas. And if he dies and his family wants some recompense.
The eyes of Texas were not upon him to make a.
I think of that as such a.
No, it's horrible. It's horrific.
Forsaken state. I wish they would. Get the hell out of our country. You think you're a nation?
Heaven forbid if Lynn is ever flying someplace and her plane gets redirected to land in Texas. Lynn Cullen's on that plane. Bring out the nets and the gun.
I have gone through Dallas a few times. When I'm there, I'm just like, I hate everything about
and no one, they think you're an insane person.
Maybe so.
That loony lady.
We are so done, Sokolwski.
Oh, that was such a Valley Girlism. We're so done.
Okay, that's the final insult from Sokolwski today. And I keep thinking it's Friday. It's not. Okay.
Stay healthy,
tomorrow's
everyone.
Friday. Yeah.
Stay clean.
Stay healthy.
And don't get a parrot. But capture a parakeet if you see one.
Yeah. Noreen, I'm keeping your email, and if I see the guy tonight, I'm going to give him your email. Okay? You can do it, Noreen. Make house calls. Good for you. There's a little blue
The Boyd
bird.
lady.
There's a little blue bird whose life is in
Depends
your
on you.
hands.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.